there's going to be times when people are going to turn against you for being Christian. There's going to be times when the world is going to be arrayed against you. And that's something you always need to keep in mind is that the forces of the world, the worldly, if you will, are always going to hate you. They're always going to mock you. And when you realize that you live in the world of the converted and the unconverted, that's it. Once you realize that that's it, that's the divide. There are those who are converted and those who are unconverted. It's like the people who wonder, it's like, well, why do some people move away from the faith? Because they were never converted in the first place. That's the sad reality of it. That is the sad, that is what you also need to understand. Now, even the unconverted in a weird way still believe in God, because like I always say, belief in God is not enough. The devil believes in God, demons believe in God, every evil thing in the planet still believes in God, but they don't worship God. So believing in God is not sufficient. You must accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And when you understand that that is the line, people's behavior doesn't really seem to be a shock to you anymore. Like I've had some negative experiences on Discord over a few weeks of just the hatred and bile of the worldly being spewed at me, and I really got to watch it firsthand, and I was observing the process. And I gotta say, folks, the world, the forces of the world, if you will, the worldly, they passionately hate you. If you're a Christian, they passionately, viciously hate you. Like here's a reading from the gospel, the epistle of First Peter. This is chapter 4, verses 12 through 19. And this, folks, calls for the glasses of extreme. Let me make sure I get all my propers propered. So, a reading of First Peter chapter 4, verses 12 through 19. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice insofar as you share Christ's suffering, that you may also rejoice and be glad when his glory is revealed. If you are insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. But let none of you suffer as a murderer or a thief or an evildoer or as a meddler. Yet if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in that name. For it is time for judgment to begin at the household of God. And if it begins with us, what will be the outcome for those who do not obey the gospel of God? And if the righteous is scarcely saved, what will become of the ungodly and the sinner? Therefore, let those who suffer according to God's will entrust their souls to a faithful Creator while doing good. Thus ends the reading of God's holy word. So that, folks, is something to keep in mind. Oh, hey, we're Chief Valhalla. How we doing? God bless. God bless. I'm glad you're here. War Chief Valhalla says, and I actually turned your wife's question about dying into a full-length video, so we might get into that a little later. War Chief Valhalla goes, I do disagree with the conversion part. I like people a bit more complicated. People don't hate me. I'm around pagans all the time. They respect my God, even though they don't believe. And War Chief goes on, it's how we present ourselves to the worldly. I'm a reflection of my God, and they respect my faith and don't speak against me. God bless you. Well, thank you. Thank you. Now, let's see. Don't this one I want to parse a little bit. I do disagree with the conversion. I think, like people, it's a bit more complicated. People don't hate me. I'm around pagans all the time. They respect your God. Might that be the God of Abraham, sir? I'm certainly hoping to hear that. That would make nothing would make me happier than to hear that the God you worship is the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and David. That ah wonderful, wonderful. You have no idea how happy that makes me, War Chief Valhalla. And here's the thing: the pagans around you, like that, don't actively hate you. That is a sort of a rarity that I've noticed in my life. Now, these might be people that, if they're actually astute in what they're doing and they're actually devout in what they're doing, I could see where there would be a lack of hate. But you got to admit, the forces of the entire pagan world is very much a force arrayed against that of Christendom. Let's see. I claim my God personally. Um, So, like, War Chief, the way I would put it, if you claim the God of Abraham, you would be kind of like what Sprouticus, who's been on here, says. He's like, he considers himself a Christian, but he also considers himself non denominational. He's not part of a non denominational church. He himself, as a human being, is non denominational, is not a part of any one particular Christian denomination. He considers himself lowercase c Catholic. So, the word for universal, lowercase o Orthodox. So he considers his beliefs Orthodox Christianity, but not Eastern Orthodox. Orthodox is just the word for proper belief. So he considers his belief is the non-denominational, universal, correct belief of Christianity. And so, like that, when you say something like that, that sounds very familiar to what I've heard before. Um, so that's interesting. War Chief, they have even prayed for me in my hard time. And that's wonderful. Here's the thing though, and I pray for those folks as well, that they eventually find Christ and the God of Abraham like you have, because it's sort of like the Mormons. The Mormons are amazingly nice people, okay? Now, that niceness is rigidly enforced by their religious groups and by the governing bodies of Mormonism. And so their works show that they can enforce morals. Here's the problem, Valhalla. Your works, my works, and anybody's works ain't getting us into heaven. Okay. If we have all the works in the world, but no faith in Jesus Christ, it doesn't really matter. Okay. And that's why I love, like, I have some very good friends who are Mormon, and it just, it pains me because it's like they're not Christians. I mean, I wish they were. I wish they would convert to Christianity, but they're not.